Alright, so we're back. We're back cooking live right now. Alright, still on Mars Hill, you know what I mean?
Areopagus Hill.
Well, it's Areopagus Hill, and it's a bit of a mouthful to say Areopagus, and so I don't like saying it, but yeah. This is where we at. You know, we have made it after weeks of waiting to get to the old Athens, and days of being in Athens and suffering from chronic. No, I'm joking. Man.
What diarrhea?
Chronic diarrhea. You're here. When I say we, me. Oh man.
Okay, shall we go now?
Where do you want to go now?
In town.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
You know.
So we're coming off of Mars Hill right now. Hopeful and to break every muscle in my body and bone as well. Because these shoes are not made for this type of eccentric. You see how a motherfucker gonna. Hey, listen. Hey. Glad 0 people watching because I was swearing. Yeah.
No, I can't believe I was, preaching where Paul was preaching.
It's really good. It's really good.
But yeah, no, it would have been a central point, I guess, because of the view. And
Well, yeah, it was a central point. It looks like it as well. It's now a tourist point, funny enough.
Yeah, but do you know what? This place is busy every day, and I bet it's been like that for thousands of years. Every day you have lots of people coming.
Look, if you're from Greece, just start a speaker's corner here, because there's just going to be like tons of people here all the time. So obviously we don't speak the language, so
But they mostly will be tourists there anyway.
yeah. So if you're from Greece and you're an evangelist, like, the best thing you can do is just start like a speaker's corner here and just evangelize the people.
What is interesting though is that
Flip, blood, clot. I'm too near the end. What? Oh, no.
The unknown God has disappeared,
Yeah.
and Paul's legacy has remained there.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, that's the funny thing is, the inscription of the unknown God is not here anymore, yet Paul's legacy is. It's kind of ironic, actually. It makes me laugh. The God was like, yeah, take that, you fiend. Scumbag. Oh, man. Yeah, because like Yahweh has obviously replaced that unknown God that they were worshipping, which is a brilliant thing, actually. But then the issue was, of course, the breakdown and persecution of the church, and then, of course, the church having to move, and the lingua franca changing from, or the language of the time, changing from what is essentially Greek to English. And make no mistakes, the language of trade is English now. Maybe it become Arabic or Portuguese, but the language of trade is English now. Amy, where are you on to? Because we can't get down these. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, these stones here, which you're seeing, are slippery. So, yeah. So that we've just come off of Mars Hill. So, yeah, but if you ever go to Athens, it's going to be the mountainous rock face that is sort of as you're going towards the Areopagites or the Areopagus. In Acropolis, near the Areopagites or the Areopagus Hill, near Mars Hill. I don't bloody know these languages. I don't understand. It just makes me think, you know what? Isn't it because I'm a Londoner? I don't know. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I am a Londoner. Like, I mean, the Britain First wants me to question my Britishness because my grandfather came to this country during Windrush. Like, my grandmother was a white British woman, but I mean,
She was Irish.
well, yeah, I mean, you say she was Irish. She was actually an immigrant herself, or at least her family was an immigrant.
Well, Ireland was part of the UK anyway.
Yeah, of course, Ireland was part of the UK, so technically she was British, and she sounded British, and she had blonde hair, blue eyes, so she was British. Okay, standard. But yeah, I just, I am British. You can't get that out of me. I've tried other countries. I can't do it. In as much as, I don't like the fact that Britain has been overrun by the Mohammedan. I'm British. I can't deny it. You know, if I try to go to another country, I don't fit in. I mean, I don't even fit in Britain, to be fair, but, you know, at least I can talk to people. And of course, you know, but here, man, damn. Also, it's the language, it's the food, the land. This land is not mine, I can tell. I mean, all things are God's, of course, but you know what I mean. Now, whoever's on the piano is playing every hit known to mankind, which is a bit annoying, but I mean, yeah.
That's nice, no?
No, it's all right. It's all right. So we've literally been, by the way, you can see a few churches there. We've been there. We've tried to go to those churches to talk to Eastern Orthodox bishops. It's not happened. You know, and I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, that whole excursion, because apparently, I'm not saying this is true, but Sarah may have been here for a month.
Oh, please, I don't want to...
I'm not talking about it all the time. I'm just saying, like, Sarah might have been here for a month. And so she's only managed to get one person who's actually American to speak to, and she flopped the whole thing. Now, you know, I think it's going to be impossible for us to truly get... Oh, that's where we were before.
Yeah. Is it?
Yep.
This is so scary.
Is there a way to go around there?
Yeah.
Let's go and look. Yeah, so Sarah managed to get Father something Holland, Sarah from Holland. We have not been able to find anybody who speaks English. Well, we did, because we were told that this guy speaks English in the Metropolitan Church. Turns out he doesn't really speak it properly, you know. And so we were accused by the Eastern Orthodox of only looking for people who don't speak the lingua, which is their way of trying to escape the fact that we spit bars. Okay, there's an old...
Well, I'm not going down there. Or you want to go down there?
No, I don't want to go down there. I would... Okay, Amy, you're going to have to hold my phone.
What?
How am I get... Okay, cool.
Just walk.
Walk around here?
Yeah. That's what I did.
Oh, I'm getting past. Look at that.
Go on, let's go. Stop shaking.
Listen, I can't fucking stop anything. I'm swearing right now because I can't stop anything. Look, I can't.
Come on, come on.
Shit. Can you take my phone, please? Hey, listen, I had to swear, bro, because at the other day my wife was acting mad. I don't know how you expect me to cross something like that's a chasm bridge. I can't do it. I don't like heights. You know, if anybody knows anything about me, know this, I don't like heights. Heights are gay. Let me tell you right now. I say to heights, why are you gay? You are gay. That's what I say. It's mad enough that I've managed to get up here. Don't like them. You know. Now, good thing is, we're not far from the ground. You can see there's a bunch of cats there. By the way, if you ever go to the Areopagus, full of cats. Full of cats. And not just the Areopagus, but everywhere in Greece. I mean, they literally own it. It's like the new Egypt here. Let me show you this. Let me show you Wagwan. Let me show you Wagwan. Flipping, oh man.
Whoa.
Let me try and get down from here. Come, we don't know how
You want me to hold the phone?
Hold the phone, because we don't know how I'm going to get down here. You got man turning Jamaican because you want me to go down these rotted bomber. Listen.
I'm gonna film your way down.
Huh?
I'm gonna film you coming down.
Well, this bit's a bit easy. Like, I feel like if I fell, I would just land my head. You want me to go? Ah, bomber. These stones are slippery, bro. for bomber clock. Oh. Okay, cool. We can't do this. We can't do it. Okay, I'm not going that side, sorry. Flipping hell, man. Okay, so how they bomb? Listen, how we getting down today? I'm thinking we're just gonna have to hop off. Are you able to do that?
I'm not sure, God willing. Or can you hold the phone?
Yeah, I'll hold it. Listen, what kind of Gulliver's Travels nonsense is this, man? I can't even flipping, you know what I mean? You gotta drink water out here, because I was about to commit suicide, you know what I mean? You know, I can't even say this stuff on TikTok.
It's very slippery.
Yeah, I know. This is why I'm gonna sit on my back side, and then I'm gonna stand here.
I feel like I'm gonna hurt myself.
Just sit on your backside. You can literally just hop from there. Right off. Yeah, you can just hop right off from there. You'll be fine. Oh, flipping hell. We have literally made it off. Oh, man. Up there, it was just frightening. Because Amy wanted me to cross this crevasse. I'm sorry for swearing, but I am a human being in as much as I am an evangelist. You know what I mean? We can't always be perfect, but I don't like heights. You know, I don't care about mandem. I don't care about, you know, I don't like spiders either, but I don't care about mandem. I care about heights, man. Heights just are bad. You know, there's few things that scare, man, because I'm a big guy. But heights, nah. Because I might end up cracking my neck, cracking my back. Maybe a good thing, depending on, you know, when I last saw a chiropractor. You get? Yeah, you can see graffiti, by the way, so we're in the ends. But yeah, we were here a few nights ago as well. That's the yogurt bar. They also do frozen yogurt, or yogurts, as is common parlance. Yeah, look, you saw that was Mars Hill, literal Mars Hill. My phone went off, that's why there was a bit of a blurb. Literally Mars Hill. And so I seriously do believe we've been pretty much to every site where Paul has visited. I mean, I don't think every site though. Where did Paul go in Acts 28, Amy?
I don't know.
Maybe he went prison or somewhere. We haven't been there. I mean, I've been in custody in Charing Cross for supposed homophobia. No homosexuality. I was in custody for homophobia in Charing Cross. I got accused of it, and I bust case because obviously I didn't do what they accused me of doing.
Where we're going, John?
Okay, yeah. So I wasn't accused of anything homosexual. I was accused of homophobia, and they charted mine off to Charing Cross police station, and it was two let's say, you know, chromosexual police officers had let me there, you know, because they are the Stasi and they want to keep man behind. So yeah, they basically had man go over there. Oh, there's a cat here. Oh damn, okay. Yeah, well that's done. I was going to form a relationship with that cat, but it just didn't happen. Yeah, man. Honestly, I've enjoyed Athens, but I haven't enjoyed explosive diarrhea, mosquito bites, genuine, just cold nights, the actual Airbnb we're at. You know, so there's a lot of things I've not enjoyed. I mean, I don't know whether the pros outweigh the cons at this point, or the cons outweigh the pros at this point. Man. Ain't that right, Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing is though, I've been walking a lot more and I feel way more healthier, way more fitter, you know. And I've told Amy we really need to translate this style of, doing stuff. Huh?
Living the
This living style into the UK. I get a feeling that the UK, and especially where we live, which I'm not going to dox myself, because of the area we live in, because there's nothing like the sites we have here, there's no real reason to explore. And so you just end up, being content with just jamming at the yard or doing what we've got to do work-wise. But I mean, like we've got to get out and start doing stuff. I mean, I've been going on walks, trust me, I've been going on long walks prior to this, but commitments get in the way, family gets in the way, so that's what normally stops us from doing what we used to do. I mean, the other thing is, we're not single. I mean, people were surprised that being single guarantees you a lot more time in your hands than being married. I'm not saying that's an excuse, I'm saying that that's the truth. That your commitments change. You are relying upon somebody else and somebody else is relying upon you. You're also part of a functional unit. You're not your own anymore. So you have to be more mature. Whereas a bachelor, of course, doesn't have to worry about these things. They get up when they want, they eat when they want, of course. The time is going to be structured around them. They're not structured around family or around other commitments that they have to commit to. And you have to be able to support your spouse as well. So these are things that need to be taken into account here, that evidently you're not going to be able to do with your bachelor, if you're single, and yeah, like for me, that's just what happened, So a lot of people ask, oh, you got big. I'm like, but I've always been big. I've always been big in a sense. Even when I was at my skinniest. I mean, a lot of people speak about that. And I'm like, no, I was a lot heavier when I was younger than I am now. When I was about 17, I was a really big dude. I've always been big. Even when I was a child, I've just been big. Like, in fact, it was uncommon the state I was in when I was about the ages of 25 to 27 or 28. That was uncommon. Because generally speaking, I wouldn't go for a run when I was like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Like, that didn't happen. It was, of course, singleness. It was hating where I was, and it was depression. I'm not going to lie to you, it was. I was in a depressive state those times. Obviously I had the Lord, but I was struggling. I was in a depressive state. So I wasn't, I was alone most of that time as well. I had no real friends, So I wouldn't say it was a great time, the situation I was in, where I was like, of course, skinny. It really wasn't. Some of the best days I've had have been the way I am now. Going out, doing what I'm doing. I feel better, I feel happier, rather than just being skinny, going to speaker's corner, feeling timid. I don't like that at all. Now I feel more healthier, not only that, I feel stronger, In this body weight, I've managed to bench 120. I could never in my life before that bench 120. I can bench 120, That's for one rep, of course. I'm not pro yet. And some say, oh, well, you should bench your body weight. It's like, maybe. I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder, nor am I looking to, be Mahusic, but I can bench quite enough. I mean, I can bench the average man. That's not, it's not like it's unattainable. 315, for example, which is 315 pounds, is a feat for a lot of people. And I would be amazed if somebody reaches that. But even 225, which is, of course, 225 pounds, which is 100 kg, it's still a feat for most people. Most people can't do that. And yet, that's I could throw that around. So, I mean, I'm happy in this way, I'm happy how I look, and that's what I mean. Like, people need to start normalizing being happy about where you are, not necessarily trying to look great for others, man, because you'll waste your life, bro. Let me tell you that right now. How many people who are insecure and downtrodden try their best to try and look great for others, only to realise that those people that are in their life are only there because of how great they look. No, I want people to like me for who I am, regardless of what I look like. I want my intellect and my wisdom to show past anything I look like. You know. I mean, I look at the great theologians, Charles Spurgeon, John Owens, and I'm like, these dudes look ugly, but great theologians, man. You know what I mean? You crack open one of their books and like, you're taken for a ride. You know. And nobody can tell me C.H. Spurgeon was just simply a idiot or something like that. You've never read C.H. Spurgeon if you think he was small brain. That guy was a genius. You know, and even speaking of our Lord is considered to be gluttonous in the book of Matthew chapter 11. And he, oh wow, that's a dulcimer. That is a hammered dulcimer. As a musician, I know what this is. This is a hammered dulcimer. If I had money, a hammered dulcimer is basically like a guitar piano thing. I'm probably limiting what that is. But that is nice. Oh man, I've wanted to play hammered dulcimer for the last, I don't know how much years. Hammered dulcimer is a sick instrument. Can you hear that? It's more into Eastern style playing. But look up the hammered dulcimer. It's hard. But anyway, yeah, like, you know, I may be just draining out my thoughts. Because at the end of the day, look, life is short. And this is what I realise as well, because obviously man's 30 right now. And gonna be 31 soon.
6 years ahead of you with that.
Yeah, Amy's 6 years ahead of me. Like, I'm not a young man anymore. In as much as I can try and, you know, get back all those years I've wasted, I can't do it, man. And so really for me, my goal is not to be the most attractive and most muscular man. There's always going to be a more attractive and more muscular man than me. My goal is to leave behind something in which people will look at and will grow in their faith towards Christ. You know, and if watching these videos you grow in your faith towards Christ, I have done this job and I'll continue to do this job until the moment I pass away. I hope, of course, that makes sense to you. And maybe I'll leave behind books, I don't know. I've thought of writing a book for a while on various topics. You know, we have to be willing to bestow the knowledge we have, be willing to build. Don't worry about how you look, you are irrelevant. In about 100 years, nobody's going to know what you look like. Yeah, 100.
They're certainly not going to care.
They're certainly not going to care. Like, even if they could see a picture, you're not going to care. Even on the airport here, right, there was many people, like the first black woman to ever fly a plane. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Don't care. Oh, thank you, Gullible, thank you. I mean, you know, but I don't really care how I look. You know, my wife thinks I'm good looking. I'm proud of that.
Kind of.
Huh?
Kind of.
Yeah. My wife thinks I'm kind of good looking. She doesn't think I'm good looking at all. But I mean, but who cares what Amy thinks, right?
You know what? It's about God. He made you.
Of course, I'm made.
He wanted to shape you.
You know, as a Christian, I'm fearfully, wonderfully made. You know.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing is, it's not about this. This is gonna die. It's about the soul. You get me? It's not about that. You get me? The soul is saved. That's all that matters. Because the soul will live forever. This body will die. So I mean, so whether it's like now or 20 years. Fair enough. Fair enough, Golly. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you know, we should all try to maintain whatever health we can while we're here.
Is that where the square is down there? You know, with the monastery.
I think so. I don't know. I think it is from what I remember, but I don't know. I can't tell you for certain. Yeah. So I think we should, of course, try to advocate and promote a healthier lifestyle amongst others. But I think more importantly is sharing the gospel of saving grace. You know, better a Charles Spurgeon who's sharing the gospel than he was a big boy. He was a chunky boy, Charles Spurgeon. He's a very chunky boy. But you know, better him sharing the gospel than a masculine, picturesque, Romanesque dudes, sharing Catholicism that leads to death. I'm sorry, we have to be honest. It's a beautiful thing, but ultimately, true health is this: to know Jesus Christ our Lord. That's true health. That's the health I attain to aspire to. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's the health I attain to aspire. I try my best to maintain that. We should be looking to try our best to replicate the image of Jesus Christ in our lives.
Also, like our body is slowly turning into dust.
Of course, yeah.
It's a slow process, but we can't outlive a set number of years. 120, because we're literally turning to dust.
I mean, after you get to a certain age as well, your body just generally stops the health thing. Your body generally just stops the health thing. It just says, you know what, this whole thing not going to work. So when you're in your mid-20s or even late 20s, there is obviously this feel-good chemical energy, like
yeah, your peak. But the thing is, even Paul says,
but in your peak slows.
Even Paul says that whilst his body is decaying,
I'm not going to accept this.
More and more alive. That's what Paul says. Once my body decays, and grows old, inside me I'm more and more alive. And that's what the Christian life is all about.
Yeah.
It's about becoming more alive in your spirit. Because your body is inevitably dying.
1 minute. Yeah, I know. So and you probably can't even hear us, but that's good.
Why? That's good.
Let's cross. Where are you going? Okay. Why do you want to go this way?
Because there is no footpath there.
There was a footpath across the road. But anyway, so what's Greece like? I mean, Greece is
sunny?
Sunny, yeah, it's sunny. They've got a load of stonemasonry around here.
Quiet.
But anyway, so it more about, the Christian walk. It's not about necessarily trying to be the greatest looking person.
See, that's a synagogue.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. So it's not about trying to be the greatest looking person, or even the most intelligent. It's about trying to build up the body of Christ. Can we go, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I wanted to know if they know about Paul coming in here.
I don't know. I don't know which synagogue he went into. It's interesting that there is a synagogue here. So that's.
Well, yeah, because the Greeks were.
Yeah.
Shooting the Jews during the Holocaust.
Great way of bringing up something that's yeah.
No, it's a known fact. They were literally.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, let me get back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
So yeah. Amy, no, I'm trying to speak and you're just interrupting me every 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So what I was saying was this. Essentially, the Christian walk is not about trying to look a certain way or trying to appease a certain type of people. I don't know whether there's a dead hen here. But it's about.
But notice they have police on both sides.
Of course,
The synagogue.
Yeah, so it's not just about trying to appease a certain people, but it's trying to emulate the character of Jesus Christ, and that's what we should be seeking to do. In everything we do, we should be trying to seek to emulate the body of, obviously, the person of Christ. So the way he walked, the way he talked, in our character, are we too prideful? Are we too arrogant? I know I can be. Can I walk through here? Can I walk through here? Okay, cool. Are we too prideful? Are we too arrogant in our way of dealing with others? Are we childish? Do we need maturity? Do we need humility? We got to remember our Lord humiliated himself on the cross. He became a man, and to many who don't believe in Christ, they look at that as if it's a weakness. For us, it's a strength. He, in the face of his enemies, says, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. This kind of humility, do you exude that? Do you show that in your walk? I've met many down a speaker's corner, for example, whether they're claiming to be Muslim or they're claiming to be Christian. And I'm being completely honest, for those who are claiming to be Christians as well. I've met many down there who are too prideful, who say of us, oh, you're gluttonous, you're this, you're that. But I'm thinking of you, you're rotten inside. You're not good. You're narcissistic. You're not. You're narcissistic. You're rotten inside. You're vain. That's not the emulation of Christ. That's another. That's the emulation of Satan. That's what Satan wants you to be.
Well,
You know, because
when
Satan
we're
cares
fit,
about the things of this world.
when we're fit, they're gonna start saying we're wrinkly. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
Once we get in shape, they'll say, "Oh,
look,
look, she's wrinkly."
when I was at my skinniest, I was being called a crackhead. I'm not joking with you, and Golly, you can listen as well. I was being called a crackhead when I was at my skinniest. I was called because obviously I shake. I still do shake. It's still there. I was called a crackhead. I was called Chucky. I'll be called the N-word. You know, I'll be called ugly. People notice I had a pronounced chest, so they wouldn't insult me there. People don't stop insulting you just because you lose weight. Oh, well, that's funny. Yeah, if you, I've done videos on Soko. You can look them up. But if you just look up Bloodfire or John O Speaker's Corner, you'll be able to find me there. And yeah, generally speaking, I was a lot skinnier, but I was still insulted, same way. Because people don't change, you know. If somebody doesn't like you, they will find anything and any accusation to go
think
against
of
you.
death to those who are perishing.
Yeah. So the boy, you know, like they will find any and all accusations to go against you. You know. And I look at those days and I realize how weak I was. You know, I could never bench what I could bench right now. I look at those days and I feel upset. I was also not married. I was seeking a wife. I was, you know, very lonely. I was very depressed, and you know, so it wasn't great, you know. Although, yeah, I'll go to Speaker's Corner and there'll be these big videos of me taking on the Dawa. You know, I wasn't happy, you know. Yeah. And right now I just feel so much closer to God. So much closer to God. So much closer to Jesus. More than I've ever been in my life. You know, let me tell you something. Amen. Thank you, Golly. Thank you. God bless you. And my prayer is, of course, you come to the fullness and knowledge of the truth. I mean, you know, as a Christian, I've had to learn myself to come to the fullness and knowledge of the truth. You know, although 5 years ago I became a Christian and fell in love with Jesus, I didn't really know Jesus quite as yet. I didn't really know what the gospel was. I needed to know this stuff, you know, and I was growing in knowledge of Him. And so I've moved beyond, Golly, although I do not agree with Islam, I've moved beyond just simply going down Speaker's Corner and critiquing Islam. That's not my goal here. My goal is to share the truth of the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. There's a whole band, by the way, right here. That's hard, man. I That's hard, hold Yeah. You know, there are people who will generally go down there just to attack, nothing else. They can do whatever they want to do. I'm going to focus on sharing the gospel. Yeah, I would say. That's hard. Listen, that's hard, I can't lie. I've never seen a whole live band just out on the street like that. Even in London they don't do that. That's kind of hard. You know. That is cool, that is cool. Yeah, it's chill, man. You know. And it's like, I watch Speaker's Corner, I see so many people just not chill. Like, there's no conversations where man's just chilled. And we're speaking about our differences and we're able to discuss them. And, you know, if there's any sort of, you know, leeway or areas where we can, of course, learn more, then we learn more and we go home, we discuss these things. All I see is people hyped up to the max, up here at 11, trying to start a new crusade on Ottoman jihad or whatever. And it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Like, what's the point? It gets nowhere. I've been doing Speaker School for 5 years. Like, it don't change. It's all combat, bro. That's what it is. And a lot of people pride themselves off that as if it's masculine. There's nothing masculine about shouting at people, and especially dudes in the middle of the street. That's feminine. That's feminine. It's not masculine. They don't understand. They think it's masculine. It's not masculine. It's feminine. It's all feminine energy. You know, we are men. We're to be analysts. We are to be intelligent. We are to converse each other and have differences of opinion intellectually. And if we come to a disagreement, we are to walk away and to take a different stance, and that be the end of it. We are men. We are builders, and we build and grow generations. That's what happens. We are not to be, you know, screaming at each other in the middle of a park like some women. Like,
Hey.
I'm being 100%. I ain't even try to be like anti-feminist on that. Nothing. But I'm just being honest.
No, it's female energy to be.
It's female energy. All of it. All I'm hearing them do is scream and scream, and then you got people there trying to act like they're the best thing since sliced bread. And then they're like, oh, I love God. And then you got the supposed Christians over there like, you're saying, I'm like, nothing's happening here. You know, better just to preach. If you're gonna scream, just preach the gospel. Just preach the gospel to these people. Why bother even debating at this point? You know, they're obviously not chilled. They're hyped up. They want to fight. You're not chilled. You know, all you're doing is talking about hadith. I can't be bothered. And nobody learns nothing, because you know how much times I see Muslims go watch that stuff, and they turn around and say, "Well, you have strengthened me in Islam," and I'm like, okay, so you know, I'd just rather speak about Jesus here. That's what I'm doing. And if people don't like Jesus or they don't want to believe in the gospel of saving grace, cool. You have every right to go and find another channel. That's how I am. I tell people the truth. That's what grown men should be doing. You know what I mean?
Can you finish this? I'm tired of holding it now.
Yeah, I'll finish it. You know. Now we're walking, of course. I don't know where we are going right now. There is also this man here who seems to be very evasive. He seems to be very evasive. It seems there's something wrong with him. I don't know why he's doing that. He seems to have red arms. But you and I can agree, golly, that the Quran and the Bible are two very different books. If we are to be honest, that the Bible presents a Jesus and the Quran presents a Isa, not a Jesus. Once we come to that conclusion, you can say, I love Jesus, but the Jesus of the Bible has an identity, has a character. And that character is, of course, that he is God, that he died for the sins of mankind. That's how the Bible presents it. You as a Muslim are not to believe those things according to your Quran. And so those are two different books. And so I'll tell you that it will be right for me to say to you that you do not have the Jesus of the Bible. And so you do not love the Jesus of the Bible identity. You know. So whilst you may think it is an endearing thing, well, it's very loud. Whilst you may think it's an endearing thing to say, of course, you know, I love Jesus, you know, this and that. I would say that ultimately, I find that to not be endearing. I think that that's not honest to the Jesus of the Bible. Now, if you said the Jesus of the Quran, then that would be maybe more, well, definitely closer to the truth of your presupposition, but not closer to the truth of mine, you know. Because for me and for Jesus himself, Jesus says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. I've got to be honest with you. As I said to you before, men are to be honest with each other, not to lie. You know, the Jesus of the Bible says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. That's what he says in John chapter 12. The Jesus of the Bible is not the Jesus of the Quran. The Jesus of the Quran, according to at least Surah 6, Surah 19, he was a man, he wasn't considered the son of God. According to Surah 4, verses 157, he never was crucified. But if you don't have the identity of the person you love, then it doesn't make sense to say you love them. I could say I love your mother, but I don't have the identity of your mother. If I described your mother, and it's just me being honest with you, if I described your mother, Gully, as a black woman from Mauritius or Mauritania, whose name was Donna, would that be your mother? No, it wouldn't. So if that's not your mother, then I'm describing love for somebody who isn't your mother. So really, it's me describing the love for somebody else, not your mother. You know. So I could say, look, you know, if I ever met your mother, I'd respect her. But right now, I don't know your mother. And that would be correct. I don't know your mother. You know, the argument follows. If I don't know your mother, I've never met your mother, I know your birth name can't be Golly, you know, I know, all I know is you're using it. I don't know your family, I don't know your friends, I don't know where you come from, I don't know anything about you. I can't say that I've ever met your family. So but I could say something like, oh, if I ever met them, I would have respect for them. But until I haven't, if I haven't met them, how can I show that respect for them? But here is the difference. The prophets of the Quran are identical to the way the Quran describes them. The Bible describes prophethood in a very different way. In Genesis 17, the line of prophecy comes through Isaac. According to at least the Islamic narrative, the line of prophethood comes through Ishmael. This is two different lines of prophethood from two different lines of prophets. And so the Quran is in no way in line with the Bible. And so I, as a Christian who affirms the Bible, do not accept the narrative of the Quran. So I cannot say I agree with you. And I would say, if you're saying you love Jesus, I would say you do not love the Jesus of the Bible. Because the Jesus you love is not identical with the Jesus of the Bible. But you can. Of course you defended prostitutes, you defended anybody. You see, my Lord defends anybody who trusts in him. You see, Jesus Christ said, I did not come for sacrifice, but for mercy. You know, our Lord Jesus Christ says, those who, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. The man who is without sin cast the first stone. Prostitutes are members of our society who have evidently not heard the gospel yet, who need the gospel of Jesus Christ. And many will hear and live.
And also the point is, Jesus makes other analogies of people that if they've been forgiven much, they love much, and who's been forgiven little, loves little. So there is an argument that, you know, somebody who sinned very much, who finds Jesus, comes to love Jesus even more.
Exactly.
And obviously we don't encourage sin, but the point is that God is not far from any of us, and people who sin a lot and they're lost, they do so because they're struggling.
And I would say this, that
they need God more than anyone.
I would say this, that at the end of the day, like, how God looks at it is it like this, like, the prostitute owed Jesus so much, and yet she loved him more because she was forgiven much. And so Jesus uses this parable.
Looks like a man. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like a man.
And look at this. What is this?
Yeah, I don't. It's a. Wait, what? Wait, what?
What is this one?
Wait, what is that? Why are there human eyes in this way? Whoa, what? Hey, listen, East North Roxy is mad, can't lie. And I mean, you guys are seeing that, but East North Roxy is mad. Anyway, so what was I saying? I was speaking about the one who loved Jesus more. So Jesus puts it this way, right? Let's say you got a man who owes you 50 quid. And another one who owes you about 1 quid. You forgive them both. You say, okay, cool, you don't have to owe me that back, that's fine. Which one will love you more? Well, the one who has owed you 50 quid. Because you've forgiven much. And so that's how we emulate Christ's nature. We forgive much. And it's a hard thing to do. It's really hard. But I mean, that may be true, but the final prophet does. You see, the seed of Isaac, the seed of Abraham, is Christ. He directly fulfills Deuteronomy chapter 18, where it says a prophet will come from amongst your people. That's directly fulfilled by the Lord Jesus Christ. And he is the one who does miracles like Moses did, and that's mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy 34. When you read the Torah, the descriptives of what this new prophet will be directly points to Jesus Christ. And then when you read the Tanakh in full, the book of Isaiah prophesies about the Lord coming to his temple, Isaiah 40 verses 1 to 5, his temple being his body, of course, and of course Isaiah 35, that when the Lord comes to Zion, the sick will be healed, the dead will be raised, the blind will see. All of these actions Jesus Christ does on his earthly ministry, you can find it all in the New Testament. So Jesus Christ fulfills all of those roles. Nobody else does. And so the question still has to be asked. If that's being fulfilled by Jesus, I have no reason to look beyond Jesus to later supposed prophets, but instead examine these prophets by the standard that is Jesus Christ. And I would say, and I would caution you with this, bro, very carefully, that the God of Islam is not the God of the Bible. The God of Islam is not the God of the Bible. The prophets in Islam are not the prophets of the Bible. There are two different prophets. And I would also caution you with this, that the historic narrative that Abraham built a Kaaba is not in history. We can't find it. You can't find me anywhere in the Old Testament.
It's called Islamic mythology.
Yeah, but well, you can't find it anywhere in the Old Testament where Abraham built a Kaaba. You can't find me anywhere in the Old Testament where Ishmael is given a prophetic line. All of this is a myth, as Amy has pointed out. So when you actually do a deep dive, an objective study into history, Islam, unfortunately, comes from a later people, and it comes from a later culture that had nothing to do with the prophets or the apostles. You know, I would suggest doing that kind of research, looking into it. Don't just take my word for it. Look into the composite witness of those before the Quran who were prophets. Look into that. You're going to find that Islam is lacking in a way to be able to show that its prophets and its apostles align with the prophets in the Old Testament. We've got evidence of Moses, we've got evidence of the nomads of Yahweh, the inscriptions, we've got archaeological evidence dated centuries before there was even a Quran. All of this matters. You can't just ignore this. You know.
What?
Hold it, man. Hold it, man.
Yeah.
Just talk, bro.
Hi, yeah. Anyway, I've started doing an in-depth study of the Old Testament, and I found a way that makes it easier to read it is to look at the chronology of the events in the Bible. And so from about Genesis to Deuteronomy is pretty straightforward, except for one Psalm of Moses. And then starting from I think about Joshua or Judges, it kind of jumps through from Judges, Samuel, Kings to Psalms. But when you read it that way, it kind of makes sense when you kind of start reading, for example, the persecution that David felt, and then see how, the persecution that David went through historically, and then go into Psalms where you see how he felt when specific events happen. It kind of builds a picture. So I'm gonna be doing that to get a better understanding of the Old Testament, and I'm gonna read the whole Bible that way until I get to the end. So I'm hoping to be done by the end of December, and I encourage everybody to do the same, because you know, the flesh profits nothing, and so we have to kind of focus on spiritual things and His Word, and get in prayer and focus on the things above. That's the most important thing, because You know, we really need to know God's word. And I think in terms of evangelism, I told John that we need to focus on atheism. We've traveled through Europe now for the last 2 years. And my conclusion, although I haven't been to every single country, is that the youth is turning into atheism. It's not Islam the fastest growing religion. This is some sort of propaganda that they use to intimidate people. Of course, Muslims have a lot of children, and that's why Islam is growing as such. And yeah, you have few Western people that turn to Islam, but mostly the young people are atheists, because their parents were atheists and their grandparents come from, you know, the 60s and the 70s, where there was some sort of post-war liberation. So everywhere I go, I see the churches, like Catholic and Orthodox churches, they're empty. So this kind of idea that there is a Christian society in Europe is false. And I know people don't want to hear it, and I know people want to pretend that there is some sort of Christian Europe and nationalism to kind of show different, to show kind of like an opposition, let's say, to Islam. But that is a false narrative. And I can state that anecdotally because I went to Poland, I went to Italy, I went to Spain, I went to, let me think, what other countries did we go to? Italy, Spain, yeah, can't remember all the countries been to, but I've also been to myself to France, Germany, Austria. But anyway, what I observe is that the churches are empty. Churches are empty. The Vatican is empty. In the sense that, yeah, you have pilgrims coming to visit the Vatican. But when it comes to the services, apart from the pilgrims, there are hardly any people. And it's the same for most churches in Europe, I think. And so, and of course, I don't consider Catholic and Orthodox churches to be churches of God anyway. But I would say that, yeah, I want to look into the atheist arguments, and I want to look into atheism. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I mean, we came to Greece thinking that we would find priests to speak to. And, you know, the Orthodox churches are shut 99% of the time. You know, because no one goes there. I mean, maybe 200-300 years ago, there was a time that they were open every day, that the priests would be in attendance. But now, you know, if it is open at all, it's just to visit, to pray to the images, and to light a candle and go. And so that's my conclusion now. I haven't seen many Muslims in here at all. I think Athens is very much, and Greece in general, populated by the Greeks. You have maybe 10% of the population that's foreign, or it includes many gypsies, Albanians.
They got Odeon here, right? They got Odeon here.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's a hotel.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, I think what we really have to tackle is to find out why society has turned to not believing in God anymore. And John said it's because of the Enlightenment. But I think I would really like to understand this. And I said to John, this is why I'm reading the Old Testament, because most people who do polemics against Christianity, they mention the Old Testament and the genocide that occurred in it. And I accept as a Christian that, of course, at that time it would have been righteous what was ordained and what happened. But at the same time, this morality argument is an issue for many atheists. They're like, how can we believe in a God that did this and did that? But how would you explain that?
Explain what? Sorry, explain.
Well, how do you explain genocide in the Old Testament, and how do you justify it?
I mean, simple. God can do what he likes. I mean, this is where I've come to the conclusion after reading so many passages. Obviously, 1 Samuel 15, verse 3, famous ones. 30, you can read Deuteronomy for that as well. Of course, Numbers 31:18. And it comes to a position where if God allows corporal genocide, I don't see an issue with it. And the reason why I don't see an issue with it is because God evidently brings justice and wrath. You see, oftentimes the God depicted by certain theologians is one of just mere omnibenevolence. Now, we believe in a loving God, but it's about what that love entails. If God has chosen a nation and instructed that nation in his ways and stated of that nation that if anybody harms that nation, they will be destroyed, and has shown his power and his glory through that nation, through various signs and wonders and even the winning of wars, then essentially he can choose to elicit corporal genocide on any nation that goes against this aforesaid nation. Now, if we look at the background just of the Amalekites, right? The Amalekites are supposedly the descendants of the Amorites. The Amorites people would have existed during the time of Abraham. In Genesis 15, of course, Genesis 17, God warns that, God will wait, around 400 years until the time of the Amorites has increased, or the iniquity of the Amorites has increased. So he does that very same thing. He waits about 400 years. This appears to be the Muslim era. Yeah. So he waits for these 400 years for the time of the Amorites, or the iniquity of the Amorites to increase. What essentially happens then is that the Amalekites who come out of this group of people start to attack Israel. Now, obviously, Israel is God's chosen people. Now, we read in the book of Exodus chapter 17 that while Israel were weak and thirsty and struggling to get water, their women and their children are attacked, of course, and elderly are attacked by this group of nations, or this nation in general. And so God essentially says, that's it. Their nation will be wiped out. And so then what occurs is God orders for their destruction in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 15 verses 3. And so for me, that's not a problem. I think some people accuse God of being vindictive for allowing for instances to occur when nations are destroyed, when God doesn't get involved in, let's say, the random teenager who's got cancer at Great Ormond Street. All of a sudden it's an issue. So when God gets involved in this, it's an issue. When God doesn't get involved, it's an issue. I say it's evidently clear that God, who is guiding this nation of Israelites, one, does not want to just imprison this nation of children and burden the Israelite people with dragging along a group of prisoners who are children, or prisoners who are males or women, who could potentially fight back at the moment of weakness. And so what does he do? He elicits corporate genocide. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I think, ultimately, if you do find something wrong with that, I think you've either misunderstood how God operates in the Bible, or you simply do not understand morality, or the predicates of morality is. Morality isn't just, everything's fair all the time, or everything's, absolutely cushion safety all the time. Morality is the predicates of the God of Israel. Once you understand that, you can understand that every injunction he causes is righteous because he sets the standard of righteousness therein. Amy has been struggling with this concept because Amy's sort of looking at it from a secular perspective, in the sense that morality is just fairness and justice all round. Oh, well, if a child does something to you, you do something right to it. But that's not really how this works. Because although, yes, the nations of children who were involved, or the children in these nations who evolved these nations did nothing wrong. They were still a part of these nations. Now, bearing in mind, God had given them 400 years to repent, and they didn't. And God also has perfect foreknowledge, and of course, He has knowledge of all generations and their wickedness. So, if God wishes to do something like obliterate a nation, because He is very much aware that this nation will grow up to just continue doing the same things, then He can do that. And I don't really see a problem with it. I think, I think the issue is reading into the Old Testament this understanding of a very liberal, love is love mentality. But love isn't just love. Love has predicates. There are predications to love. There are things behind love that make it love. And one of those things is trust, it's honesty, it's justice, and it's wrath.
Okay, I want to sit here to just see where we need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrath is very important. If you claim to love your partner, sure, you could give good, nice things to your partner. If you're not willing to defend your partner in a time of need and protect them, or at least try to, even if you can't, because you're weakless and powerless.
Oh, you need a battery pack.
Yeah, I do, because you're weak and powerless. Then, of course, then that's an issue. That's still a problem, right? If you don't feel anger at somebody trying to attack your spouse or your loved ones, then that's an issue. That's not love. You don't have intrinsic love for them. So I'll say God loved Israel as His firstborn son. And so elicited it on to the Egyptians, for example, the unaliving of their firstborn sons, because He loved Israel that much. And I seldom would another human being think any different if their child was put to death in front of them. They wouldn't think, oh, well, it's just a child of another person. They would think, I want you to suffer the way that you have allowed me to suffer. I want you to suffer the way you've made me suffer. And so, in hindsight, when I look at the wondrous works of the God of Israel, I don't pout or feel ashamed. Nor do I look at it as like, oh, well, God of Israel did something bad. If somebody's come up to me and saying, God of Israel did something bad, I question your moral system. So if I'm speaking to a Muslim and you come to me,
show your internet.
Yeah. So if you're coming to me, of course, as a Muslim, and your predication is Islam, or your presupposition is Islam, and that's going to be your presupposition, I'll first talk about, well, what is the issue with unaliving in the Quran, for example? The Quran shows us many instances where children were unalived, like, for example, the Great Flood of Noah, which was evidently caused by your God. Or, for example, the various wars that happened, like the Banu Qurayza Jews, the captivity of the Banu Qurayza Jews. Or of course, we've got the night raid of the polytheists, where women and children are killed, and Muhammad says they are from them. We've got more and more examples of this. And so that's the standard they're appealing to. So I'm going by your standard and showing it's hypocritical for you to attack this standard and to critique it from the moral position you hold to. Now, for an atheist, or for somebody who invents their own moral system, we will deal with that as per their moral system. But still, we'll always find something wrong with it, because the issue is that the moral paradigm they're holding to is not going to be predicated upon something that transcends them, but it's going to be predicated upon their own feelings and emotions. And the problem with feelings and emotions is they're not arguments. They're not. We can feel whatever we want to. I'm sure Jimmy Savile felt what he did, but at the end of the day, feelings are not emotion. Feelings and emotions are not logic and reason. Feelings and emotions are not logic and reason. But that's one of the reasons why I don't hold to this idea that, we need to do what Paul Coban does and have every moral reason as to why there's every injunction in the Old Testament for warfare. I say genocide is right if God chooses to do it. If God chooses to elicit, it's right. In fact, one of the commandments in the Old Testament is thou shalt not murder. It's interesting that word in the actual Hebrew, it doesn't denote not killing, it denotes not murdering. Murdering is an unlawful killing of a human being. It's unlawful. Of course, nowadays it'll be unlawful to kill a human being. That's just a guess. But in the past, of course, especially during this Mosaic covenant, it would be lawful to kill a human being in instances of war. And it still is, even in countries like the UK, the US, and even in this country. If you go out to war, it'll be lawful for you to kill. And so, what's thou shalt not murder is not saying is not you should not kill. That's the interesting thing. You know, also, it just takes me back to Romans 9. How can the potter, how can the clay say to the potter, why have you made me thus? We have to be honest with what we're dealing with. The God of Israel sets the predicates, he sets the presuppositions, he sets the rules, he sets the standards. We don't do that. And it is inherent wisdom to just submit and say, look, I don't know fully yet, but I trust everything you say, Yahweh, because you are my God, and you sent your righteous son to die for my sins. I have no need to question my Lord, because my Lord has showed me his goodness, his graciousness, his love and mercy in my entire life. There's been many instances, where I felt down, all throughout, even as my Christian walk. But prior to that, of course, yes, multiple times I felt down, prior to becoming a Christian. But as a Christian, there's been times where I felt down, depressed, in the dumps. And the Lord has just risen me up with his word, reminding me of what he suffered himself. No man has suffered greater than what Christ suffered. If anything, it's the perfect redemption. For those who say, oh, baby's unalived. Well, God did it himself. God gave his life for the world and suffered an excruciating death on the cross. What more do you want? What more do you want? That God himself suffers for the sins of mankind and chooses to do so because he loves us that much, that he seeks to redeem us. Not to appease himself, but to justify us in his justice and goodness, which cannot be broken. How beautiful is that? And that's why I love the Lord. That's why I seek to love the Lord all the time. Now, on the other note, I had witnessed on the Patrick Bet David. It's kind of annoying. I witnessed on the Patrick Bet David channel none other than Sam Shamoon. None other than Sam Shamoon. Let me tell you right now, when you see these people are posted, when you see these people posted up, it means the devil loves them so much. He wants to oppose them. These people think they're glorifying Jesus. Such a man, even on that website, on that podcast, said, "Oh, I'm here to glorify Jesus Christ." And yet on his channel, he's an idolater, he's an insulter, he mocks, accuses, he prays to other gods. I mean, my heart really hurts for such a person, and I pray the Lord delivers him. I pray that, I truly do. I have such a love for Sam Shamoon that I pray the Lord delivers him. And if you don't have that love for him, you really need to grow out of this, or at least be more mature. I have that love for Sam Shamoon, that I can see there that he's being convicted. And the fact that he's crying, I can see there's conviction going on, but I'm seeing him not accept that conviction. That he doesn't want to be bound to God's word. He wants to be bound to communion of saints. He wants to be bound to prayers to other gods. He wants to be bound to idolatrous statues and images within churches and Catholicism. My prayer is he comes out of that. That's what I pray. I've seen Sam Shamoon's whole thing on predestination. It was laughable. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I've never seen such a bad exegesis in my life. And because he's a Syrian, of course, he can get away with boldly proclaiming nonsense and not being able to accept any other view. Now, I used to be a mod on Sam Shamoon's channel, so I know, of course, all about what he says and does. I've got videos on my phone downloaded from years of me listening to Sam Shamoon. I know what Sam Shamoon's about. And the only reason why people love Sam Shamoon so much is because, one, he's able to just record scripture like that. Two, he's a very bold character. So, and before him, pretty much, from what I can understand, nobody really came out with that kind of boldness of speech when it came to dealing with the Muslims, of course, in the way that he has, especially when dealing with Muslims in the way he has, and of course discoursing with them on that kind of hard style level. Because Islamic apologetics really wasn't around much. Obviously, you've got John of Damascus in the 8th century tackling Islam when it starts, but it's not really something that's popular within the field of scholastics and in mainstream Christianity. It's not really at all. It's really a quite recent thing where modern day debates of discourses on camera and at universities with Muslims is occurring. Same thing with Islam, right? So you've got Jamal Badawi, Ahmed Didat. These are quite recent figures within at least the last, what, 80 years? 80 years, who are actually discoursing and debating Islam. Dawah itself is a recent thing, you know. These are recent things that have come up. And so the response has been people like Sam Shamoun, of course. Now, you know, in as much as the Lord God can use the king of Assyria to glorify himself, he can also use Sam Shamoun to glorify himself in a certain way. I say in a certain way, because you've got to be very careful. But I also think that Sam Shamoun does damage to the gospel of saving grace. I don't know what you're doing, Amy. Yeah, I also think that Sam Shamoun does damage to the gospel of saving grace and assails God when he commits idolatry on these streams, defends prayers to Mary and prayers to saints. These things are abominable. We are not to do these things. We are told specifically in his word. Why are we not doing it? Paul was grieved when he had seen these images in Athens. He was grieved. Why do you not have that same grief, Sam Shamoun, when you see these images in these churches? That's what you got to ask yourself. If you see these images, you know, like we just walked past, right, this minute, we walked past a church which had an image of what may have been Mary, I don't know. And what was in the bowl was two eyes, two human eyes within this depiction. That is insanity. Now one could argue, oh, this is a false church, blah, 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 they made it up. I don't care. With every church we've been to, there's always a different depiction of Mary, a different depiction of Jesus. But they want to tell us that they're all praying to the same people. They're all engaging in worship of the same God. I say bogus. It's all false. You know. Now people said to me, oh, debate Sam Shamoun. I don't mind Sam Shamoun comes on the channel. I'll debate him. I'll have a discussion with him. We can talk about the various points of difference when it comes to the Bible and a total witness when it comes to scriptures. I feel like JP already dealt with that. I could easily deal with these points he's got to bring because I've already listened to his lectures on these very top points. They're embarrassing, you know. But I mean, such a person, for me, has grandiose narcissism. He will never see himself as in any way wrong. He will never see himself as being wrong. My hope is on his deathbed, he eventually sees that he's wrong. That's my hope. So if I'm going to discourse with somebody, it will be for the purposes of hopefully enlightening others in the truth of Christianity. That would be the reason why I would discourse with Sam Shamoun. Until then, no, not really. But if somebody's genuine and honest and wants to discover more about Christianity, and Sam Shamoun's getting in the way of them truly knowing about it, I'll debate Sam Shamoun any other day. Sam Shamoun's ain't nothing to me. We've already shown you. We've gone after priests and bishops. We can go after your guys. Like it's not an issue. Not an issue. I have God, the God of Israel, on my side. Who am I afraid of? Name one man. Name one intellectual. Bring your best cat. Bring Trent Hall. Bring these clowns. All of them believe in fictitious nonsense, and we can show that and prove it from scripture. Yeah. Straight. Enough of this, you know, like lazy intellectualism where people just sit around and watch Sam Shamoun all day. I'm done with it. It's boring. Pick up a Bible. What is this? You know, it's sad. It's really sad. You know. And I have more of a critique for people like him than I do for any Muslims. Muslims believe in a false religion. You know, that's clear. They believe in a false religion. But I have more of a problem with those who are claiming to believe in the religion I believe in and yet misrepresenting it. That's far more dangerous. Far more vindictive. Far more crooked and cruel. You know. And, you know, God bless the brothers James White and others out there doing the will of God, of course, sharing the true gospel of saving grace, but you know, we are few in number. We are the remnant. That's what's going on here. And, you know, if you are born again, understand you're a remnant. We are not, you know, the world is against us. Jesus warns us in John 15, the world will be against you. You know, if you don't think that these Catholics and Orthodox would cheer if they ever found out that I was crucified or my head ribs ripped off by Mohammedans, you do not know what these people are on. They are the same spirit of those during the time of the Spanish Inquisition, the same spirit. maybe don't have the balls to do what they did before, but they're of the same spirit. They are of the same heckling demonic spirit that hates Christ. And they would laugh if I was assailed. Just as much as the devil would rejoice at my passing. But my passing would just lead to, of course, more and more people coming after me. That's how it works. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, bro. We need to come out with that this season, bro. You know, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, man. You know. So many people just follow these online baby Christians. And I'm gonna say baby Christians. I'm like, who are these guys, bro? What church they go to? You know, what are they even on? You know, have they got any notches on their belt? None of them. We did time out there, bro. We did time out there with the trip. None of these guys, like, you know, they've got a 17-year-old run, like the ethno Nashers have got a 17-year-old running about for them, and I look at them with just cringe. They don't realise this kid doesn't know what he's talking about. He regurgitates. That's what he does. I knew that he was a fool from the minute he literally just doxed his own name live on channel. Nobody has known my real name on Speaker's Corner whatsoever, even to this day. Even to this day. You think I'm stupid? Nobody watching this knows who I am. And even if you did, you wouldn't be able to find me. Bro, like, you don't understand the level, bro. You know what I mean? Hiding in plain sight. You don't understand the levels, bro. You see? Too many people want too many fame, innit?
Yeah.
Too many people want too many fame. It can come crashing down hard on people. You know, you got to learn to keep quiet and to hide in the shadows and to, you know, and to work with your own hands. Like, you know, if anything, the worst example you can be as an apologist is Young Bob. You know, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. I mean, he wants to go the way of Charlie Kirk. I mean, like, come on, let's be honest. I already predicted that he was going to dox himself. Like, that was just standard. And the Jazz basically got in there. Because that's how Jazz is. Jazz is kind of a snake. He just does that. He will just dox people. Come find me, bro. You know what I mean? I've never been afraid of a Jazz. What's the Jazz going to do? But you know what I mean? The doxing is laughable, bro. You know. Now, for me, I don't dox. Because, you know, I don't need to win by manipulation tactics like that. I really don't need to win like that. And in fact, I warned him. You know, behind the scenes, I actually warned him. Prior to him obviously being caught out, I warned him. I said to him, look, took him aside, I said to him, look, take down the Facebook. Take down the Facebook. Because, yeah, Muslims going to find you. What happened? They did find him. It only took a second for me to find Thomas Moffat. It was wild. Now he's trying to make a name for himself, trying to be the next best thing since sliced bread. He's too young for it. You know, let me just tell you this, like, when I was 16, I didn't make any good decisions whatsoever. Bro, you don't make good decisions when you're that age, bro. You make stupid decisions, brethren. I'm 30 right now, bro. I mean, like, you know, you make stupid decisions. You follow the wrong crowd. You get involved in stuff. Next thing you know, my man's got handlers. You see, you don't understand. That kid's gonna have handlers. You know, if he gets too big, he's gonna have handlers. He's gonna have people controlling his name, his narrative. He won't be just, you know, he'll be afraid. You think all that macho stuff, that's just childish. You know, that's just childish nonsense. He's not even reached 25 yet. No, his brain's still growing. Once he gets like to full awareness and consciousness of what he's actually doing, he's gonna be afraid. You know, and I feel sorry for him. But what can you do? I mean, the brain stops growing at 25 and 17. You know, you got people lauding him as being intelligent because most people just don't read. I saw through all that. I thought, nah. You know, at the most, maybe college educated. At the most, maybe, but nothing to even bank on. You know, standard, you know, TikTok, average Eastern Orthodox. That's not, it's not really him, it's many others who are his age who think, yeah, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna hype myself up, I'm gonna go and get, you know, on the social media thing, I'm gonna jump up. Bro, if you're not big man, don't be cruising for that, man. Get yourself under a church. That's what I wish I'd done in the beginning. Like, you know what I mean? Get yourself under leadership, you know. Or at least try. It's pretty hard in this country. Of course, not this country, we're in Athens right now. But in the UK, definitely it's really hard, you know. What are we doing there, bro? We're just sitting here.
I was just sorting something for my mum and having a little break. We can walk in a minute.
Okay, cool. Because I don't know where you wanted to walk through, because I'm just seeing bare Punjabis.
Look in a minute.
This may be the Whitechapel of Athens, by the way.
Yeah.
We're in the Whitechapel of Athens, like no joke. I've seen more than one Punjabi walk past. I mean, there's a ton of Indians. This is Whitechapel, bro. You know. Oh, by the way, like, does anybody know why that whole Operation Whitechapel fell through? Like, with Nick Tinconi going up there, basically rabble-rousing alongside Young Bob and all these people. Because I walked past there. I'll be honest with you. I'm telling you the truth. Like, full face, me. Obviously, I'm taller than most of them because they're Bangladesh. But I mean, I walk past them. I'm seeing bare of them masked up. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, damn, okay, this might break out into a fight if any of them recognizes me. You know, this is on the day it happened, of course, when there was this big riot. Of course, you may have seen it, right? I think it was a week ago, was it?
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, a week ago, I can't remember, man. But basically, I walked past Whitechapel, and I get to the mosque, and I'm seeing like the jihadis carrying flags. They're carrying this big Pakistani flag, whatever the flag is, and all of them are masked up, wearing black. And I walk a bit further up, and there's about 3 Bengali youths in the car, and they're screaming out, "Yeah, you're a boy from Speaker's Corner, yeah? Yeah, you're the boy from Speaker's Corner, TikTok, yeah? TikTok famous, yeah?" I'm like, no, that ain't me, because I'm trying to avoid it, because I'm seeing like 50 bodies over there. I'm like, no, I'm either gonna have to fight my way out of this, like this is Game of Thrones. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm just gonna say nah. You know, so I managed to hide in obscurity. You know, he didn't say anything after that, but then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna cross the road and dive down as if I'm gonna get through Whitechapel Station. So that's what I did. You know, because I'm thinking, you know, it's not even about fear. I'm not Conan the Barbarian, mate. I'm just being honest. Like 50 bodies. If I've got no bodies with me, then 50 bodies is 50 bodies, my friend. This is not Dragon Ball Z where you can just rock, man. 50 bodies is 50 bodies, man. Like, if the Lord grants me the ability to fire cannons out of my arms, then 50 bodies ain't nothing. But 50 bodies is 50 bodies, my friend. Let me tell you that right now. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it would have been it would have been a bloodbath. I'm being honest with you, it would have been an absolute bloodbath if the residents of Whitechapel and the Nick Tinconi, Britain First, whatever culmination of random British guys turned up, would have been a bloodbath. There would have been some sort of fight. Now, it's very possible that the police could have, of course, blocked off that area. Now, they did ban them. And, of course, it is fair to say that it's a great thing that they did. I think for their safety and for the safety of the community as well, it would have been best to ban them. I'm not saying I agree that people shouldn't protest where they want to, but, you know, it's just like when Hatton Tash, for example, was bringing, like, holes in the Quran. I agree that, you know, she can do whatever she wants. But do the police have the right to remove her? Yes. Because it's for her safety. Because there's about 80 bloodied up Muslims at that park at any given time. So yes, of course, you got to do this, you know. But the difference is, of course, at Speaker's Corner, is there are Muslims that will just G-check other Muslims. So that's fine. But I mean, if you're in the middle of Whitechapel, you don't know who's there. You don't know who's there. You don't know whose family is there. It's not like Speaker's Corner, you know. You know, at least I know that the elders there can maintain their jihadi tendencies for a time at Speaker's Corner. But in the middle of Whitechapel, no, you know, Now, me and Amy, we've gone to protest ourselves. We've gone to, of course, the Jewish protests. I had some Jews screaming at me, profanities, and I was like, I wiped the dust off my feet like Paul did with you people. I'm done. So yeah, we stopped with the Jewish protests. We also went to Palestine protests multiple times, to speak to the people there, wiped the dust off my feet of that as well, because it's a long thing. We've been to many protests, but so I'm not afraid of being around people, but 50 bodies is 50 bodies. You get me? 50 bodies is 50 bodies. Now 5 bodies may be different. Just give me two sharp things and I do it. Because you're not gonna think, oh, I'm happily gonna stand around a crazy Jono. What is you 2 sharp things? But 50 bodies is 50 bodies. I keep saying that. That's gonna be my catchphrase. 50 bodies is 50 bodies. Man. So if you're planning, okay. If you're planning, by the way, to go back to Whitechapel, do things properly. First of all, I don't care if it's peaceful or not. You need to get authority for this. Now, of course, the mayor-elect of Whitechapel is going to be a Mohammedan. I think he is a man. Is the mayor of Whitechapel Mohammedan?
Yeah, I want to get a kebab, by the way, now.
I don't want to get kebab.
You don't have to. I want to get it, like...
I do not want to eat that crap. Okay. Yeah, Jesus is the truth, PB. God bless you, man. Yeah, I don't want to eat right now. But anyway, so yeah. 50 bodies is 50 bodies. Right, anyway. So yeah, if you're going to plan to go with Whitechapel, be very, very... very secure in who you know who's going there. Do it privately, set up your own private WhatsApp. Don't be public about it. Because I see that Nick Tane-Cody was posting it on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, of course people are going to show up. Yeah, well done, Nick. You absolute mug. Come on, of course the police are going to be like, hold on. Something going on here. The Met picked it up like it was bloody a whiff of dog poo. So yeah, easily set up a private group, because
They have to notify the police.
Do they?
When you do a protest, you have to legally do so.
Oh yeah. I guess you guys ain't gonna do Whitechapel. Look, it's become a no-go zone. Although I can't walk through there, I choose not to sometimes, because at the end of the day, look, if I'm gonna die on something, I'm dying on Jesus as the Lord. I'm not, I definitely don't want to die amongst the scum in Whitechapel. I can't be honest. The Lord can choose when I die, but I just don't know, bro. No, bro. Outside of Poundland in Whitechapel, you mad? No, bro. Forget that. That will be on the Wikipedia page. Here lies Captain Bloodfire, stabbed to death by Mohammedan outside of Poundland. Is there even still a Poundland there? I think they've moved it, but yeah. Last time I checked, there wasn't actually.
Okay, I'm gonna go and get myself the kebab now.
Okay, yeah. I'll come with you, of course. Because we're in the middle of nowhere, and where do you expect me to go?
Well, I can always ask a Mohammedan to help me.
Help you do what? The next jihad? What the hell? Okay then, Zainab, let's go, man. Waste, man. This is your waste, man. Your name's Zainab from now on, okay?
Alright, Hussein.
Hussein. That's my name. My name is Hussein Ibn Zubair. Because I like the name Bear. Hussein Ibn Zubair.
Actually, my name is Aisha.
Oh, your name's Aisha? Okay. Bro, that's what. that is actually what, man.
Well, it's like every Muslim one is called Muhammad and every Muslim woman is called Aisha and every other.
No, I like Hussein Ibn Zubair. Because when you say you're a son of somebody, that gives you more credence. So it's like Ibn Zubair, and Zubair was just some shell sword, just ran around hacking people. Oh man, yeah, Jesus is the truth, man. Anyway, we're just chatting rubbish, bro. Anyway, let's walk, bro. Oh man, I do have an Islamic T-shirt. I've got so when we went to Tunisia, I got a blue caftan, is it called? What is it called, that shirt I've got? I got this blue, like, shirt, caftan
Whoa.
thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just got that. Just bought it for no reason. So it's a shirt.
You don't even wear it. Maybe I should wear it.
I don't wear it, funny
It
enough.
shapes your boobies.
It shows my chest, but the thing is, it's a 4XL. Now, a 4XL in Tunisia is pretty much a large in UK standards. So, of course, bro, man can't wear that. Because man is not a
Are
large.
you 10XL into this?
I'm 10XL in Tunisia, bro. I'm maxing out Tunisia clothes, bro. They have to make them at the warehouse for me before I
We
arrive.
have discovered that. Which country was it? In Spain?
Yeah, in Spain it
It's
was.
a 3 size up.
Yeah, it's 3
So
sizes
an
up.
XL in the UK. No. Yeah, an XL in the UK is like a 3XL in Spain.
Yeah, it is. An
Yeah.
XL is a 3XL in Spain, you know.
There you
And
go.
if you want to pop out that double XL, it's at least, 4XL in Spain. Yeah. It's a madness, I can't lie. But yeah.
Did it make you feel fat?
Sort of does, but then I realise these people are in poverty and they're not rich like us British. We have so much money that we can make clothes, but they can't.
No, they don't eat enough as like you do.
I'm sick of your disrespect, woman. What is this, bro?
What?
I'm sick of you disrespecting, man. Do not disrespect my authority. Anyway, enough of my weight. Let's talk more about. I don't even know what I thought. I've just run out of gas, bro. I can't lie. I've been chatting West the whole time. But yeah, so message to Nick Tenconi. If you're gonna come to, if you're gonna go to Whitechapel, not come to Whitechapel. I'm not in Whitechapel. If you're gonna come to Athens, I'm joking. If you're gonna go to Whitechapel, make sure you're bellied up. Make sure you got a bunch of, a bunch of Clapham Dons with you, and a bunch of Brixton Donnies with you as well, because you are not going to be able to walk there on your own.
Anyway, I'm gonna say this: that I think the police was righteous to tell them not to come, because do you know what? They would have just caused, atrocities. There would have been violence, and there would have been, a lot of upset.
Yeah.
And yeah, that area is done. But the reason why it's done is because
Oh,
the
damn.
Muslims, the Bangladeshi, they bred and had kids, and the white East London people moved out, and that's it.
Amy,
And then
where
if
the
you-
hell are we, man? I
No,
don't.
we're going to the center. Don't worry.
I literally
So,
don't know where we
At the
are.
end of the day, it's like
I'm literally confused. Like I've literally ended up in some place, like some.
no, it's like if Britain
Amy's
first.
just bloody brought us here for no
Okay,
reason.
so imagine if Britain first to think that you're a foreigner that should be deported.
Well, yeah, they do. Britain first, like. Shout out Jada Franson, by the way, but she thinks I shouldn't be here, bro.
Yeah.
That's wild.
If they went to
Well, not here, but
Brixton
you know what I mean.
and they said that all blacks should be deported, what do you think is going to happen then?
I mean, if Jada Franson goes to there along with Britain First and said all blacks should be deported, they'll have a warm welcome of a nice good chef in the back from a few mandem from the block.
Right. So and likewise, this Britain First are from Salford, which is a white area. If you had Muslims
Yeah.
going there saying, all the whites get out of here, what do you think would happen then? And so I think it's common sense that they're going around there.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. Look, like you're protesting essentially that a group of people who are living there shouldn't be there anymore. You're going to be met with some form of opposition. Now, it doesn't matter how much bodies you have. I understand you're trying to start a crusade, but the last 3 ones failed. Jada left Britain because Paul beat her. I don't even know about that. Well, Paul Wall didn't beat her. That makes sense.
Where does she live now?
Where does she live now at it, 2.0? Because I saw videos of her on Twitter basically saying that people who look like me should not be in Britain anymore.
Right, okay.
So if she's not there, that would be irony of ironies, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but this is extreme. Yeah, she's an extremist, and in the end, Britain First, the party that she belonged to before, they're Nazis, because it goes beyond, you know, we don't accept Islam, it doesn't fit with our culture. This is complete racism. When you start looking at you because you're black, you should not be here.
Well, I mean,
that is racism and
for even the
narcissism.
Christians who are, you know, evidently coming here on a visa or who have found asylum here, they would remove them as well. And so really,
They would remove me as well.
yeah, like they would
But
remove
that's the thing,
Amy.
They wouldn't remove my kids because my kids are
Yeah.
white British.
And so
that's
really,
what
like,
becomes
what we're
racist.
looking at here is if Britain First have control, or even the likes of Nick Tenkoni have control, we're looking at a dystopian Britain.
Yeah.
And so the opposite would just happen. And this is the issue, is that both things are wrong. And so we should not promote both things. And this is where young Bob is, in all honesty, a criminal. He should not be supported. He doesn't know what he's
a
supporting.
criminal. I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, I would argue that considering like he can be easily brainwashed because he's a dullard. I mean, he's not smart at all. He hasn't really
He is
thought
a
that.
ethno-nationalist.
Yeah, and he's a criminal for doing that. So you see, here's the issue with ethno-nationalism. It's not Christian. It's not biblical. Christ's nation is not of this world. Jesus says, if my nation was of this world, sorry, if my people were of this world, my people would fight for it. His kingdom is not of this world. And so we need to stop pretending that these people are Christian. They're not Christian. I kind of find it funny that we've now got a supposed debate going on between, I think it's Shabir Ali or Yasser Qadhi, one of these clowns, and oh no, it's Asrar Rashid and young Bob representing Christianity. He can't even represent a wet bag, man. Ridiculous, bro. That's not representative Christianity. That's a snake. He may as well be Paul Golding, bro.
That's the thing. Paul Golding himself has been called a Christian by Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah.
You know?
Muslims don't know what Christians are. They think Christians are just any tosser who defends England. Bro, come on, let's grow out of this, man. Let's get more akin to the Bible. You know, it just makes me laugh that they can believe in a God who came down as a man in Jerusalem and yet defend British pride and values. It's because they don't really believe in Jesus Christ. That's why they believe in another God, and they call him Jesus, just like the Muslims call him Jesus. It's funny. You know, you see, we got to keep an eye on this stuff, bro. Both of them are wrong. There's no sides we're on. You know, we're not on the side of Paul Golding, young Bob, all these ethno-nationalists,
Yeah, I wouldn't. You know, they're doing a
scumbags with
conference.
Tommy Robinson as well,
Britain First
who is
Day.
also a scumbag as well. Oh, we got put in prison, how sad. Oh, he's trying to stop the rape gangs in Rochdale. That's not what he's just trying to do. I was there at his little get-together in, where was it? Vauxhall? It was Westminster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there at his get-together in Westminster with Amy. And long story short, when we were at Westminster, all I heard in the background was people saying, I want my country back. And there was a whole song that they made saying, I want my country back. I want my country back. That was the slogan that was going on there. Now this was for two-tier policing. This was for two-tier policing. This whole thing was for two-tier policing. And all they were doing was crying about their bomber-ass country. I want my country back. I want my country back. Back from who? The Britons are still the majority in the country. What are you talking about? Bro, I have no respect for any of them. They're all clowns viciously attacking other clowns. The Mohammedan and the Catholics are all clowns viciously attacking other clowns. All of them. All of them for dead. Leave them to it. Let them have their jihad. Let them have their crusade. Keep me out of this. You know what I mean? God, this is all wrong. Young Bob wants me deported. Mohammed Hijab wants my head off. Get them all out of the country. Get rid of all of them. Set up a debate with nationalists. I would if they want to get Jew-checked, but it will be on whether the Bible supports ethno-nationalism. And let me tell you right now, they will lose. They will lose. I will find them stuttering, humming and erring the whole time. So yeah, Elliot, if you got any ethno-nationalists, in fact, young Bob, Let's set up a debate right now.
Well, you know what's
How would you
interesting?
check right now?
No, do you know what's
Come on this live, bro. I don't care.
Do you know what's
How embarrassing right now.
There's a situation where
Come.
the Jews, I think they tried to get Paul down and they tried to involve the Romans. And
Yeah.
the Romans said, well, no, actually, this is your business. We're not getting involved.
Oh yeah, that was in Acts 17, no? Or 18.
Right. It was maybe Acts 18, and
Yeah.
they, you know, so the thing is that just proves that even when they try to get their government involved, they're going to say, no, this is nothing to do with
Yeah.
the government. And so there is no such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's get these ethno-nationalists up here. I will happily debate an ethno-nationalist. You know, it isn't just Muslims versus ethno-nationalists. That's the narrative they want to tell us. It's Christian versus ethno-nationalists. Any Christian that's siding with ethno-nationalists in any way is either very severely confused about what they believe, or is not a Christian. You should not be siding with ethno-nationalists. You know, yes, it is a great thing to want your country protected from the hordes of Mohammedan coming in and destroying it. There's no doubt about that. But do not support institutions or leaders who promulgate this ideology and yet will evidently want to rob people of lives and livelihood who look like me behind the scenes. They're concealing all of this hatred they have for others behind this idea of, you know, oh, we don't like the Mohammedans. Oh, come on, bro. What are you doing? Lock car, then snap. Okay. Bombara. It says Ringo my bed. Okay. That's the Oasis. Let's see what I recognise here actually. John Lennon. Interesting enough, I'm not recognising. Yeah, that's what's her name, innit? Yeah, I recognise that name. Okay, we've got this avant-garde thing here. 11 poppy seeds. I think we're in like the brick lane of Athens now. So we went from the Whitechapel of Athens to the brick lane of Athens. That's interesting. Been here about 6 days so far. So if you know anything about Brick Lane, you know why I go on here. This is the Brick Lane of Athens. But yeah, I'd happily set up a debate with a nationalist any given time. Just tell me when, tell me where. You know, obviously I'd rather do it Zoom, so then the ethno-nationalists can't go in the lynching. You know what I mean? You know, it's not like they'll be able to carry me anyway to a lynch thing, but I mean, like, but we got to be, you know, very careful. You know, just in case. You know what I mean? Amy, back you up. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Why is there like just mud there? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're now in some random part of Athens. Again, I'm walking around. My bad. Yeah, set it up if you can. You know, what I've been trying to do with this channel, of course, is set up different discussions with different types of people anyway, you know. But I've always been interested in how an ethno-nationalist defends their biblical presuppositions, or their presuppositions that they suppose the Bible claims. So like, for example, Acts 17, Jada Franson tries to use that as an argument for, you know, God's appointed the times and bounds of our dwelling places so that we may all, you know, go out and find him. You know, so they try to twist that and spin that as if it means that God is promoting some sort of, ethnocentric, state of mind, or an ethnocentric or nationalist kind of ideology. That's not the case. Just because he's appointed the bounds of our dwelling places, that doesn't mean that we are not all one blood, and that's what that's actually stating, by the way. Well, amen, the Israel of God. The Israel of God are those who are in Christ. Exactly. So the interesting thing is, what does the ethno-nationalists do with passages like Matthew chapter 28 verses 19, to go out to all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? And if it was to be somebody like Young Bob, what's he do with his own culture being at variance, British culture being at variance with the Greek understanding of ethno-nationalism? These are two contradictions. These are discussions that would need to be had. I mean, I find that to be an embarrassing position to hold. To be an ethno-nationalist and to be a Christian is an embarrassing contradiction. It's either you ditch the one or ditch the other. You can't be both. Just like Jesus said, you can't serve God and money. By the way, this is where Sarah was. I don't know if she's still there. But yeah, Amy doesn't want me to speak about she who must not be named. She who must not be named was here. So I'm going to speak about she who must not be named, but I mean, she who must not be named is somewhere around here. I said she who must not be named, I didn't mention the name. Nobody wants the country invaded, but there's a difference between that and then stating that those who are third or fourth generation need to be booted out alongside those who are generally needing help and asylum seeking. And this is where there are more prevalent issues here going on.
No, but I'm sorry, but I just think that, the asylum seeking thing worked for Ukraine, where they were like, okay, if you know somebody that lives here, or if there is a proportion. No, I'm going to give out some gospel of such people, but those people who are coming from France, they're economic migrants. They're not coming from Afghanistan. They're literally coming from France. So they're not refugees. If you're coming from France, you're not a refugee. And I agree with that.
Yeah. I like how I'm losing weight right now. Look at the neck, man. Yeah.
But at the same time,
yeah, that's wild.
We can't forget the history of the colonies. People from Pakistan, people from India, people from Jamaica. They were part of the UK colonies, and they were invited to move to the UK to rebuild the country, as they're invited now to work for the NHS, to work as carers. Because just like in the 60s, the British people don't want to do these jobs. And people don't like that. The British people who study medicine, they go and work in Australia or other countries. They don't want to stay in the UK because they can earn more money in other countries, and that's why you need people from the Philippines or from other countries to come and fill these jobs. So that's the reality. But I do think that there is an issue with the boats. I think Christians should make their own country, allow England to keep it English. The thing is, this idea of England being English doesn't exist, because the UK, first England is part of the UK, and the UK was the biggest empire in the whole of history. And so, you can't erase that history. The UK cannot copy Poland.
Yeah.
Because, Poland wasn't a conquering nation. Can I just finish my point?
I don't know what wrong you.
So, people like John, their ancestors, some of his ancestors were slaves. That were, they were slaves. And, slavery, the UK was involved in slavery just as the US. So you can't just erase that history and say, oh, we don't want all these people now. The UK divided India into Pakistan, India and Bangladesh. You can't just forget that history. And that's the problem, is the history, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so when we look at the history of what Britain is, it is built upon Christian ethics. You know, you will see, you know, various lands of the country named St. Paul, St. Peter, and it's just going to be built upon, you know, the very Christocentric, or at least the very Catholic-centric understanding of the Bible in general. You know, we can see, of course, the church institutions what eventually led to universities within the English lands in general. The fact that England's got money is due to commerce, which comes from trade, which comes, of course, a Christian understanding of how to use money and finance. And, you know, it's in general, the entire nation of what is England or Britain is going to be built up upon Christocentric, or at least Catholic-centered ethics and understanding. Now, they're not perfect, of course, because they're Catholic centers, but, you know, that's what's going to be the underpinning of it. There has never been a time where Britain has been Britain without some sort of, or at least how we understand it now, without a sort of Catholic-centered or Christian-centered understanding. In fact, the British Isles received the gospel quite early on in the 2nd century. But a good book to read about is Christianity in Britain by John Henry Maud d'Auvergne. He's a historian from the 18th century, and he speaks about the early Christian witness in Britain from the 2nd century onwards. And Tertullian, who is a 2nd century church father, mentions that Britain, or the British Isles, has heard the gospel. So what would have happened is seafarers, traders, would have brought the gospel from what have been the various lands of the Mediterranean, all the way to Britain.
The shop is, they went to the,
I don't know.
further down this way.
Yeah, I think it was. So from Britain, they would have heard the gospel from, of course, the Mediterranean, and then, of course, from the Mediterranean. From the British Isles, there would have been churches, right? And so when we look at people like Jason of Sirloin, St. Alban, for example, who is a saint, at least in the Anglican Church, of course, an early Christian, and the various priests that would have existed amongst the Celts as well, it's very clear that Britain quite early on had an understanding of Christianity. Prior to that, it was pagan, and they would fight over bread and resources. So the thing that really jump-started what essentially becomes England and Britain in general, and Britishness, is Catholicity. And that's something which a lot of people who are not British, or who are British but have never studied, don't understand. So no, it isn't the case that Christians should just leave Britain, live on an island somewhere, ignore everybody else. That's not even Christian to begin with, and second of all, it's just not feasible. These lands belong to all of us, not just to those who have a specific theological ideology. No, I don't.
Take a seat for me.
Not just those who have a theological
Can you
ideology.
reserve a seat for me, please?
Are we sitting here? Why don't you sit inside?
Because it costs more.
Why does it cost more to sit inside?
It's fine, look, it's not going to take long. Just wait.
Yeah. So yeah, no, when it comes to theology, just give me a drink, please, thank you. So I'm really distracted in 5 minutes. So yeah, no, a theological ideology akin to what is Christianity. That's going to be really the background of what it means to be British, in a sense. I would say to argue the opposite is just to negate reality. There is nothing inherently Christian about atheism. British about atheism. Atheism is a new thing to Britain. It's not something that has always existed in Britain. Whether it be the pagans of the Picts and the Saxons, or the later Anglo-Saxons who believe in Christianity or Catholicism, there was always an understanding of a deity of sorts. So I would say that no, it's not that Christians should just leave their own country. No. What I think should happen is that British people should become Christian. They should affirm Christ as Lord and Savior. They should submit to His word and His deed. And they should submit to the Bible as the sole infallible of faith, and step away from ethno-nationalism, which is damaging and harmful to society. Societies cannot grow under an ethno-nationalist mindset or mainframe. Because then what do you do with tourism, which makes majority of money you have for most countries? What do you do with that? If you alienate a specific group or even races of people other than your own, trade goes out the window, tourism goes out the window. You know what I mean? You get no jobs, no productivity, nothing. It all goes out the window. I think people think too much that, oh, it would just be a utopia if everybody was like me. It's not the case. I've come to realise that people being like me is what will solve the world. Yeah, I mean, everything would be a disaster, exactly. But also when it comes to trade, services, if you've got British people that are not willing to work the jobs that non-British people would work, then what would happen there? You know, I mean, imagine just for a second that I was able to snap my fingers and every single Asian person left the United Kingdom. Or they were just transported and teleported into Dubai. You'd have a ton of people in Dubai that would be a bit confused by their day. Now they don't know how to get back. They're not able to get back. Let's just imagine it's this scenario they can't get back. Okay. What would essentially happen is productivity goes down. First 24 hours, shops are closed. Nurses, doctors, non-existence. You know, services like taxi drivers, non-existent. Spas, non-existent. Tourism, non-existent. You know, or at least a few small numbers of tourism. Waitressing, non-existent. Concierge, non-existent. A lot of services would break down entirely without the diversity that occurs in Britain. So we need to be careful as to, you know, this understanding that, oh, if we just got rid of all the Asians, everything would be better. That's very childish. If your country's built up on commerce and capitalism, and, you know, obviously tourism's going to involve that, and trade, it's going to be pretty hard for you. You know. Now let's tweak this scenario a bit. Everybody's gone, right? All the Asians have gone, but also it's made very clear that they can't come back. So there's no more trade that can be done between Dubai and other areas as well. Other countries get whiff of this as well, and they stop doing trade with the United Kingdom. So the sales of common everyday products go up. A bog of toilet roll is like £5. Well, let's take it higher. 10 quid for just a 4-pack of a bog of roll. About £2 for a bag of sweets. You know, obviously, like with less trade, less access, of course, less vehicles going out because there's less people working the jobs, less opportunities for commerce, and less opportunities for being able to attain products. So these products would, of course, increase in their price and their value, to the point where bread would be more valuable than gold. So we can't be childish. We have to look analytically at what would happen if you're just to remove every single Asian person from the United Kingdom. A lot of bad people. It wouldn't be a good thing. Yeah, exactly. But that disconnect can happen. It can happen within an instant. Alienating people is not going to make the world better place. Funny enough, it doesn't work like that. We all live here together. Saying, like, trying to, you know, baton flag your land is not going to help anything. It's really not. It is what they did in the past. It is barbaric and it is nonsense. We need to move beyond that. The land is not yours, it's God's. You know. What we should be focused on is trying to root out and creating laws that protect from against a certain ideology. And we know what ideology that is. That's Islam, right? So we should be seeking, of course, to create laws that will stop the promulgation of certain wicked practices of this law, of this ideology. But obviously you can't stop the practicing of this religion, because then that will lead to, of course, alienating those people. And of course it will lead to turmoil. You know? So like the government has a lot to deal with. I don't envy the government in any sort of sense. Like, you know, if I was to be put in a position of Prime Minister, it would be too much of a hard job. There's so much to focus on. It's too hard. Not everybody can get everything. There's not enough love for everybody to get everything. It's really bad. Even over here in Greece, right? Like, you know, in Greece where, you know, there's not a lot of Muslims, right? They're still poor. There's still poverty. Well, I mean, Brendan, you're saying not for you, but I would say even for you. Because then you have to make decisions that will lead to very, very harsh consequences for many people, and you have to make these decisions fair for all people. And you have to look at this analytically as well. I mean, I used to have the opinion that it would be easy if I was just Prime Minister. I would protect Christians, you know, I'd go out there and stuff like that. But I'd also have to look after taxes, paying different types of people. Immigration, how would I deal with that? Do I just close the borders off completely? And what do I do about those who are here? What do I do about those here illegally? Do I restrict people? Oh, well, yeah, you wouldn't like the job. Oh, yeah, not for me. I thought you meant not for me in terms of it not being hard for you. You wouldn't like the job. Exactly, I wouldn't like the job. When I was younger, you know what I mean, I thought childishly that, yeah, anybody can work Prime Minister. Bro, not everybody can work Prime Minister. Yeah, and if you close the border completely, does that restrict others from coming here to work now? Because guess what? You close the borders completely, then what happens to trade? Who's going to trade with your country? You're closing the borders completely. If somebody wants to come here on a work visa, what are you going to do? Like, and so productivity is going to go down significantly because you're like, close the borders completely. Bro, like, what? You're not thinking these things through, man. It's more complicated than people realize. Like the people like Nick Tenconi, I wonder why they're even trying to be Prime Minister, because they're very low brains, they're low IQ. You need somebody who is able to look at through all sides and to see the complications with even their own positions. That would be a good Prime Minister, who is analytical as well. A Prime Minister is able to see the complications in their own position. It's not just about being biased. Like, close the borders, stop them from coming in, sip more stuff. It's not going to help you. What do you do with trade, Elliot? What are you going to do with it? You're going to stop trade as well? Can't stop trade, man. You stop trade, that's it. It's going to, like, you want to go to local bog roll. Like, honestly, Elliot, you want to go to the shop and get local bog roll, bro? It's going to cost you 10 quid. 4-pack. 4-pack of 10 quid. Now, you're on minimum wage, by the way, and you're not able to find, well, the jobs are out there, but you're not qualified to do it. Like, for example, let's say you've never driven a car in your life. And are you willing to do truck driving from here to Bangladesh to, you know, trade? Are you willing to do that? Well, obviously God is in control. Like, God ordains everything, and that's why, of course, things go the way they go, because God is a lot more smarter than we are, funny enough. But, you know, I mean, I always say this, imagine if I was in control of the government, I wouldn't know the first thing to do. I mean, of course, I would try to make things cheaper, but then I don't know anything about finances, so I mean, like, it might just basically bomb the stock market. I end up just, you know what I mean, I'll create a madness. Man wouldn't get paid. You know what I mean, there'll be a lot of broke man because I said, you know what, let's make things cheaper, right? They're not going to become a minority as long as they have children. Elliot, what, instead of focus on closing the borders, why don't you focus on just English people having children? I don't know about that. Maybe Elliot, if you're not married to anybody, maybe go and find a wife. I don't know. But I mean, you know, you can't stop. If God has ordained for a country to be taken over by another nation, you can't stop it. You do realise that? Let's not be childish. You can't stop it. But, you know, but if that nation is favoured by God, it cannot be dominated. Remember that. You know, look in history. Any nation that's favoured by God is not dominated. So just remember that. You know what I mean? So Elliot, you need to worry about your soul, bro. Don't worry about the English country. I was born in Britain. Right? You're protecting a bit of land. Trust me, it's all gonna fall apart. You know, but you need to stop standing on God. I don't know why I've got this. I'm using this as a book, a mat. I don't know why I'm using this as a mat. So. If I could be happy every second, I would. Yeah. But I'm not going to be happy until I'm before the living throne. Before I'm the throne. Sorry, Lord, lose my tongue. I'm not going to be happy until I'm before the throne of the living one, the eternal God. You know, all humans will suffer and pass away. Including me. Whether it's great suffering or it's small suffering. Suffering happens. I'm ready to please anybody. Let me tell you the truth. I'm here to tell the truth. That's what an analyst does. I tell you the truth. The truth hurts, bro. Painful. It ain't good. Exactly. Everybody's been subject to vanity. People took care too much about their country. They need to care about God. Get all that stuff. Straight. Trying to ride or die for God. There are 100 African Christians than 100 British Muslims. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I mean, even Elliot, you're speaking about, you know, you like the English. Do you want them all to become Muslim? They will still be English, right? But they all become Muslim. Are you fine with that? If you're fine with that, then that's cool. You know what I mean? That's you do you. Because you can close the borders all you want. They could just end up just all accepting Islam. You good with that? Okay, cool. An ideology is an ideology. An ideology it transcends race, man. Like you think you just get rid of the Asians is going to be fine. It's really not going to change it. You know, even up Stratford, me and Amy have been up there a few times. We've seen many white British Muslims. Many white British Muslims. You know, many. So it's a growing population, by the way, who are looking for spiritual guidance, and of course they're finding it in Islam. What is that, man?
Armenian kebab.
Oh. I've noticed Elliot gone real quiet since I said that. But I'm saying some deep stuff. Saying some deep stuff, bro. Yeah, God does send lying spirits, to be fair, yeah. And this is where we can't ignore God's providence in all of this. And so if you have a trust in God, you won't vote for Evanesh's. You won't have fear of anybody taking over your country, because you'll know that God's providence will always protect you. Yeah, Muhammad would definitely send lying spirits. That's the interesting one. If Muhammad actually existed, he would send lying spirits. Well, I saw a few squats and kilts. Yeah, Buddha definitely was. God sends lying spirits. You know, it's beautiful, because even when we don't think God is in control, God's in control. You know, God's in control. Right? People think God's just that outside of, he's just looking down. It's like, oh, okay, then cool. I see they're doing something. No.
Do you know that the Labour Party? I have to say, I know this is. I've just eaten, John.
Okay, cool.
I know this is not a popular opinion, but I like that new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. I know she's a Muslim, and she is pro-Palestine, but I think she's quite smart. And what she said, because obviously they know that the far right is taking over the polls.
Yeah, yeah.
So now she said that the new asylum seekers have to wait 20 years before they can get permanent permit to stay in the UK.
No,
it used to be 5 years, now they made it 20
They've made it 20 years, yeah. And this is actually a Muslim, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's Labour Party, yeah.
Yeah, you see how God works. God works that way. Like, you know, that's... God would even use a Muslim to like, make it so that asylum seekers have to wait 20 years before they can get actual residency. Which is interesting, you know. Elect angels and non-elects, and election, yeah, of course. Election's a beautiful thing. But that's how God works. God moves the puzzle piece. You get. If you don't understand already, God's playing chess. We're playing Connect 4. If you don't understand what that means, learn it. This is why I'm reformed, man. Because obviously you can't stop trade, my friend. Elliot, you're thinking too childishly. Because you can't stop trade. Like, I mean, you think that that's going to be helpful for trade. It really isn't. You know. Those who want permanent residency, after 20 years, it shall happen. The interesting thing is, of course, there's this whole, like, you know, conspiracy that, you know, the Mohammedan are taking over. And our British women will be taken, and these lovely British lands will be dominated, and our women ravished. It's not the case, man. So think outside the box. We have a God who's playing chess, right as you know it. When the Muslims cheer, oh, Islam is growing, we have a God who's playing chess. Rob, you don't understand, fam. You know what I mean? Elliot, read the Old Testament, bro. That's God playing chess with everybody. He says of the king of Assyria, like, can the axe say to the one who's lifted it, you know, I have done this myself. Like, no, bro. Hey, listen, it's wild. I don't look at all that stuff from like, God's playing chess with all of us. God's playing chess with all of us, bro. Exactly. God put Satan in the garden for a purpose. God's playing chess with all of us. Straight. That should make people feel happy right now. You should be happy that that's going on. Don't feel sad about it. That's good. That shows you there's an authority above all authorities. You don't need to fear. Don't fear these random, you know, clowns amongst the Mohammedan. Fear God, man. You know what I mean? Fear God, bro. I have a fear. Ever since I started believing in, you know, divine sovereignty, I've had a fear of God. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? Nobody can tell God, oh, you have done this, bro. It's not a democracy here, bro. You're not in charge. Simple. It's not a democracy. You know, we can pray, we can ask, that's it. That's the one who's really in control here. No prime minister, no religion is in control. It's Jesus in control right now, bro. It's deep, bro. Oh man, it's all in that book as well. It's all in the Bible. God is in control. So you don't have to worry about nothing. That's what life has shown me. God is in control. You know. Don't worry about anything, but plan, seek the Lord in favor. That's it. Because He's in control. And if you believed in the sovereign Lord, you won't be worried about your country. You'll be worried about Him and His law. You'll be worried about what you're doing in your life, you know, and you'll be worried about whether you're, you know, trusting Him for your salvation. That's what we're worried about.
you go ahead.
No, I'll say something. Well, I can't talk. Amy,
Hey,
I said say some things, bro.
I don't have anything to say. I just want to go home and read my Bible. That's
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna clock out for the day. I thank you guys for watching. Obviously, I'm on TikTok, by the way. So if you're not there, I obviously do debates, discussions. We get some weirdos coming up. The Muslims chat crap in the chat. So if you're not on TikTok, Brendan, good brand. If you're not on TikTok, amen. God bless you. If you're not on TikTok, jump on there, man, because I need moderators, and obviously you'll be a good moderator anyway. Obviously, I'll add you as a moderator here anyway. That's fine, but obviously I don't use YouTube as much. So, but if you go on TikTok, or if you download TikTok, I'll be there as well. Maybe later on I'll do a stream. I don't know. Oh, well, if you're not there, then of course you're mod here. So whenever I do a live here, then you'll be mod in the chat. Wherever. So if anybody chats a bit of grub, then you can block them, or whatever. But yeah, I mean. But yeah, that's where I obviously do debates and stuff on there. I've also thought of doing it. I have to work out to do it, but if I can, I'll work out how to do it. So I have TikTok showing on here. I'll work out how to do that somehow. But anyway, God bless.